What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Hypocritical AF podcast. I am your host, Albert Fig, and we are in the second week of November. And off tops, I gotta be honest, I do not feel like I'm the funniest right now. I don't feel like entertaining. I don't feel like being entertaining, and I don't feel like just being all up tempo and joyful and everything. Not that that's a bad thing or anything like that. But I just want to have a conversation. A one-sided conversation because obviously there's nobody else here. It's just me, and if you're listening or watching, you're probably just like, replying back to it audibly without, physically being here. So it's basically just like a one-sided conversation. But yeah, I just wanted to talk for a bit. For starters, I want to recap, the previous weekend that we just had. Man, it was cool. Like, over the weekend, we went to my sister's house in Los Baños. Well, actually, Dos Palos. Specifically, I just say Los Baños because a lot of people don't even know where that's at. And sometimes when I say Los Baños, they don't even know where that's at either. So the closest thing that I would say is Santanella or Santanella. And then there's some people that don't even know where that's at. So yeah, I would say it's close to Merced. That seems like the most, logical one that a lot of people know about. But, she lives over there. Her, my nieces, my nephew, my brother-in-law. And it was cool, though, because we got to link up. It was me, my sister, my other sister, and my other nephew. And we kind of got together. Not kind of got to. We did get together, but like we were able to get together, as a family. And it's interesting, too, like that dynamic. Like I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks like this or can compute the difference between the two. But it's interesting and different dynamic, when you get together as a big family, whether it be your parents, your grandparents, your tias, your tios, your aunts or uncles, or cousins and stuff like that. That's one version of visiting with family because it's like in a group setting, and then it's different when you get to hang out within your own internal family, meaning your siblings, your brothers, your sisters, and everything. And then it's even more of an interesting dynamic when you get to hang out with them without parents being present, because we're now, we're all parents ourselves and we're all older and everything. And we're still, not including my brothers. I'm talking about just my two sisters and everything, right? We're the oldest. And it's an interesting dynamic because it's cool to see, to look back and just be like, remember those times as a kid, you know what I mean? Like you and your siblings, and to see where you guys were at one point, and then now, many, many years after, to see everybody have with their own kids respectively, everybody's tios and tias, to have all of them there in a group setting, and then just us chatting about like life or talking about our parents or talking about, our families or just, making convos and stuff like that. It's an interesting dynamic. It's enjoyable too. And then, yeah, and it's cool because you get to like kind of talk more on a personal level or, more of an intimate setting, not intimate like that, but like more of an intimate setting in that you're not making small convos or trying to cater to everybody all in one setting, because one thing about living, far away from everybody else is that your time is limited. You know what I'm saying? And I learned this from visiting from back when I was in the Army is like when you go visit, especially when you're visiting two sides of families, technically three, if you consider, all the other family members, but it's tough when you go visit and you're trying to navigate and spend time, accordingly in a short time frame. Like I remember visiting, like having 4-day weekends when I was in the Army. And it was like, all right, we would go. It was basically a day, 2 days already off tops gone because you had a day of traveling and then a day of traveling back. So realistically, you had 2 days to kick it, on two sides of families. You know, it's tough to manage all that time and try to keep it within a certain circumference. So I already knew that, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm used to and comfortable with. And then there were certain times like block leave. I think I've only taken during block leave where where I was able to take like 5 days or something like that off. That's when I remember time was a little bit more spread out, and then you can go see family like in a different area. Luckily and thankfully, a big chunk or big portion of the families have been like, in the same King City, San Lucas area. So there's not a lot of traveling. But during those times where I used to get block leave, I used to then go to like Watsonville or then go more northern of the Central Coast and visit that whole area. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is that, like I said, I'm more accustomed to doing all that stuff, and now, being in Sacramento and then going back home now with the child, it's like you gotta still gotta be careful with a lot of stuff because driving with babies, as some of you that are parents already know, driving with babies is tough already. You know what I mean? So now the drive is not so short. Now the drive is not so fast. Now it's like stops, guaranteed stops. Now there's like catering to having to change a diaper or make a meal or having to slow down because you can't go, 85 during fucking on curves and shit like you normally would. Not to say that, you should be doing that, already, but you know what I mean? Now it's like you drive different with the kid. And then on top of that, you kind of want to play certain music or play certain videos and stuff that caters towards them because you're trying to keep them calm while you can do the drive. You know what I mean? So traveling with kids, it's one thing, but then now going back and visiting with kids is like it's even more of a thing because like now you have to like have like certain checkpoints as it is. And when I mean checkpoints is that I'm saying like you should be able to stop here or stop over here because now you don't want too much drive time or too much travel time for the baby. You know what I mean? So it's just a lot, but it's nothing that I'm not accustomed to. But it was cool because my sister's only like 2 hours away. I just give or take like 2 hours and 15 minutes away of a drive, which is way better than 3 hours and a half or 3:45. Only 2 hours and 15. It's not that bad of a drive, but it was cool to get all of us together there and kicked in. We linked up because this is something that was planned. We wanted to watch the fights, busy night of fights. If you're a fight fan, both in MMA and boxing, you had the big UFC fight, 268, 267, something like that. But we wanted to watch both fights. We were going to watch all the big UFC fights. And then at the same time, we had the boxing fight, Canelo versus Plant, so we were going to do on Showtime. So the plan was to watch UFC and boxing, barbecue, have fucking wings, have drinks, all the like I said, within our siblings, the kids get together, the kids running around. So it was a good feeling, you know what I mean? And then it's more, like I said, it's more chill, I bought a bottle of tequila, I don't know if that's I don't know what that has to do with the story, but I will say that, that night I went 0-1. 0-1 versus tequila. Okay. I had this, I wanted to have tequila drinks. And now granted, let me fucking put some chips in my corner. So the night prior, I didn't get much rest at all, if any, because the baby didn't let us get sleep, and was up, for the majority of the night. Nothing new. But, I was tired. I was going off a little bit of sleep. We had just got done finishing up. Like I did a 72-hour water fast where for 72 hours you don't drink anything other than water. So I didn't even drink coffee. Normally I would include some coffee in that, but I just like, not that I forgot, but it's like I just didn't. I was like, I won't get it. I'll skip out on it. So I had water, no juices, no nothing, just strictly water. And that's what kind of and I gave myself like a Friday to adjust to it too. So like I ate some food, I had some caldo on Friday and everything too, but like I could tell, my body wasn't 100% acclimated. And like I said, it's not a good thing to do specifically to drink alcohol. Like after a 72-hour fast, you kind of want to get your body some, because you just flushed all your body out from all the bad liquids and bloat and inflammation, and then you're going straight to not straight to, because like I said, I gave Friday off. I didn't do anything. I ate food Friday, solid foods, but I still had my probiotic shots, and I still had, caldo, which is a liquidated version, nothing crazy too stuffing. But then we went straight into Saturday, which was, I had coffee, we had wings, right? Barbecue wings, chips, fucking, just barbecue food. Nothing crazy, No, I'm not saying like there was hamburgers and hot dogs. We didn't have any of that. And that's also another reason why I went 0-1 versus tequila 2 that night, because I didn't really realize until afterwards that I was like, I really never really ate a plate. I was just picking at food. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you could like pick at food and kind of, can get away with just getting or eating certain foods throughout the day sporadically, like picking without even eating an actual meal. And that's what I did. And like I said, it fucked me up. It kind of hit me with the low blow at the end. I was cool all the way till like 9 something. Until we found out that, oh shit, the Canelo fight was on. Spent $80 on it, and we didn't even end up watching it because our dumbasses forgot and wasn't paying attention to the time. I would say more so me. I'll take the blame on that. But then, like I said, eventually the tequila just fucking cripped and hit me up out of nowhere, and that shit hits, bro. When you're drinking tequila like that, and I was drinking it like I was mixing it with the grapefruit liqueur. Did I say that right? Liqueur, grapefruit liqueur, which had low dosage of alcohol in it, but it was still more liquor. So I was basically adding liquor with more liquor with some like soda water, some shit like that. And I was having a few of those. And then just as advertised, what they say about that tequila, that shit hits. You know what I mean? And then I was out, passed out. I passed out. But those are my defenses for that. Lack of sleep and not that much food, and let alone healthy food like that. So you got me that night, tequila. You got me that night. We'll see. But yeah, no, it was a good time, man. It was a good time. It was good to get all of us together like that, and definitely gets me thinking more too of like how important that is, bond time, not just within your siblings, but also for the kids. Because those are the times you look back, at least I do, we look back at a bunch of childhood photos and we see that all the time we were kind of with some type of either sibling or cousin or relative at that. And being so far away from everybody, you kind of want to bridge those gaps, so to speak, and then kind of, get more of those. So I definitely want to incorporate more of those and start those and take more photos. I think we did. We took photos, of course. We took videos, but then it's like in the moment you're not really thinking of the photos or anything. I'm sure like in the back of our minds we're thinking, okay, we should take some photos and everything. But when you're just kind of there enjoying each other's presence and everything, you kind of just not really so much on the phone, which is a good thing, because that's how it used to be back in the day before social media and before phones. Everybody would get together and just enjoy each other's presence and actually have to talk and actually look each other in the eyes when you do it. You know what I mean? So those are the type of things we should incorporate more. And it was cool to do that. So that was over the weekend. Now this week, the rain. So here's the thing with the rain. For whatever reason, it kind of gives like an ominous, gloomy presence, or kind of like can alter moods like that. At least I feel like that way. Like when it's sunny outside, like a nice, I'm not talking about summer because that shit's fucking annoying, but like a nice, like really nice day outside, it affects people's moods, right? Like it makes you like wanting to be like, you know what, I do feel like going outside today. Let's go do something. Like when you look and you see that it's not crazy hot, it's not cold, there's no wind, it's just nice out. It makes you want to go out and do more things. You know what I mean? And I say that to say it's the same thing for like cloud gloomiest, something like that, or this type of weather. You know what I mean? It kind of just makes things like more like you don't really want to go out. You kind of want to stay in, get a little like campfire or a little put a little log in the fireplace. You know what I mean? Drink some tequila. Careful. Or you know what I mean? Or get some like hot chocolate, some cocoa, just stuff like that. You just want, it's like coziness. You want to feel, you know what I mean? It's coziness, you know what I mean, that you want to do. But it also like can affect, at least I think so, like a certain like your mood, right? So it's like I know that it's like today I had like a topic of discussion internally within myself. And it was like I was driving to work. I was working in Napa today. And then it's like I felt like for whatever reason, the word change came to mind. I don't know why. You know what I mean? It's like a change. And so I was thinking like, why is change on my mind? And then I started thinking like, what is it about change that like naturally like I got no problem with? You know what I mean? Like for whatever reason, change, like I have this weird relationship with change. It's like it's always been around, or I'm always adapting, and I'm more accustomed to a lot of changes. And I feel like there's a certain shakeup that that you need. Like when you get stagnant, like when you feel like you plateaued. Not talking about exercising or maxes and stuff like that. I'm just talking about like in life. You feel like you're just like in a plateau. There's like certain things you have to do to kind of shake up to like kind of like shift the environment around you, you know. And one thing that I can credit to or reference is, you know, when I was listening to this interview that Russ did. He was talking about, you know, his most recent album. It's called Shake the Snow Globe. You know what I mean? Or Shake the Globe, some shit like that. I think it's Snow Globe. And he was saying like the analogy or the metaphor in that is like sometimes you feel like in life you just have to like shake things up and get back to uncomfortableness and change some things, you know. And I kind of was thinking about that word myself. I was like, man, like, maybe I got to do some of that in my own life, you know. Like, what can I change around? What can I, you know, get the uncomfortableness, or because like I said, sometimes you get to the point where everything just seems routine, you know. Wake up, brush your teeth, go on with your day, home, sleep, wake up, brush your teeth throughout the day. And then you look towards the weekends, you're thinking, okay, the weekends will be something different, you know. Saturday and Sunday, nope, same thing. Wake up, brush your teeth, do whatever, brush your teeth, go to sleep, you know. And I don't know if that's just the parenting aspect of it lately, you know what I mean? But you don't even have to be a parent to you know, kind of get what I'm talking about, or know that feeling, you know. It's certain routines that go on, and then you're just kind of like, you know, I should shake some things up, you know. And I thought about too, like a lot of friends who have told me in the past, you know, like how they don't deal good with change, or they're not good with having to you know, adapt or overcome. Not well, actually, no, I shouldn't say adapt or overcome, but they struggle with like new environments and new things. You know, some people are okay with their current routine or current schedule. You know what I mean? Actually, even furthermore than that, some people are afraid of the change. You know, so I started thinking to myself, why is that? You know, and how I could put myself in their shoes, because that's like one thing with me. I try to look at, you know, both sides. I try to put myself in other people's shoes and see how I would react, or how I would think, or what's the thought process going into certain decisions like that. So I know me, like I said, I embrace the change, and I'm maybe because I've always had to adjust and adapt throughout my whole life. You know what I mean? So I thought, like, what is it about change that scares people? And it's an interesting thing, you know. And I think at its core, it kind of comes from yourself, right? What have you dealt with? Have you dealt through some adversity? Have you had to adapt? Have you had to change and think on the fly? You know, have you had to come up with new ways to find a passion, or new ways to find a motivation? You know, how are you with new settings? Those are all like little key factors that go into something like that, but it's the thought process. And I think it's more of a mental thing that gets people. At least I feel like that way. Some people can say, you know what, I'm good with just not even good. I'd say they're content with where they are, their schedule, and they actually prefer that because they know for a fact, not necessarily know for a fact, but they know what their schedule is going to be. So I try to put myself in that shoe, because that's kind of the opposite of me, you know. It's actually like, no, actually being something that scheduled for that amount of years actually worries me. Like, it scares me. Like, when I first bought my house, it was you would think it'd be like a positive, and not to say that it wasn't, but you would think it'd be like the most amazing time, and it'd be, you know, so happy because, you know, you're gonna have a home and a roof over your head and all this stuff. And it was crazy because for me, actually, it was really the opposite. It was scary for me to get the house. I was like, man, I don't know if I want to commit to something this long, 30 years over a mortgage thing. And I don't mean, I'm not afraid of commitment in general. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying to commit to being in one place. Like, I know not necessarily know for a fact, but I looked at it like, damn, do I want to be in Sacramento for the next 30 years of my life? I don't know. Right? And that's not guaranteed. You can always sell, relocate, rent out. And I get that, but that's kind of like another way of thinking. I guess in the moment, I just thought of it like, would I see myself being here for the next 30 years? Because that is an option too. Just that staying in one location for 30 years is just as much of an option is as relocating, you know? Because, when you're buying a house, it's like a big thing. You know, you're owning a piece of something temporarily, right? We'll see, you know. But you're essentially going into a binding contract for 30 years. And it's scary when they tell you, you know, you say if you miss one payment, right? You miss one payment, they're already putting your house as like a pending type of thing on the market. I forget the word. For whatever reason, the word is not coming to mind right now. But uh, 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 I forget the word. It's kind of like a repo, but it's not a car. You know, repossession, something like that. But that's just off of one payment, man. You miss two payments, it's gone. You're gonna have to file for bankruptcy after two missed payments. You know, and obviously, you know, responsibility comes into play and everything like that. But yeah, it was actually pretty scary, you know, getting the house because I was like, man, I was like, is this something that's the right move? You know, financially, do I know for a fact I can afford this? Because it's not an easy payment either. You know, I live in California. You know, California is expensive between state taxes, property taxes, you know, interest rates and everything at that time, locking in, knowing that, you know, interest rates change on the daily, you know, so locking in when you can, getting in a good deal, you know, what do we want to do here? 15, 30, you know, there's just a lot of, you know, a lot of factors that play into it. And so it was a scary thing at first because it was just like, man, like 30 years here. I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if this is the smartest move. And is it a right time to get, you know what I mean? Can I take on this financial burden? Um, and then also, at least the way my mind works is like, I kind of plan, I also play into what I bring into the equation is also what if, like bad stuff or emergency happens? What can I be able to do this without, no one else being present? Can I be able to take on this and still potentially take on another big payment going forward? You know, if I get this, does this mean that I won't ever get to fucking have you know, a car? You know, if I get this, is this gonna take away so much time and effort that it's gonna detract or defer to anything else? You know what I mean? Job wise, you know, like how do I know this is consistent? You know what I mean? And so, like, I know the counter argument to that would be like, well, that's just life in general. Nothing's promised, nothing's guaranteed. You know, any job you get, you know, it's not for certain. You know what I mean? You could be in the military and still not be for certain. I remember at one point being in the army and being like, hey, man, the government, their contract or Congress is not coming to an agreement between Democrats and Republicans as far as pay and budgeting. And I remember one year it was like, and this has happened multiple times. It's nothing new. But I remember one year it was just like, we may or may not get paid, you know? And one thing of the selling point with joining the military was just like one of them, I should say, one of the selling points was like, you're going to get a guaranteed paycheck every 2 weeks from the government, no matter if you work 1 hour or 306 hours, you know? I know that sounds like an over exaggeration, which it is, but that was one of the main selling points was you're gonna get a guaranteed paycheck every 2 weeks. So being active at that time and hearing that and being like, well, you motherfuckers lied to me, you know, it is the military. But there was people, I remember people threatening to like not show up, you know, so which is a whole nother conversation in and of itself. But yeah, nothing's guaranteed. So, you know, that's just like a thought process. Like I said, the way I was thinking, I'm sure a lot of people have been there, done that. And then, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't even think like that themselves, you know. It's like a weird spot to be in. You're almost in a state of nirvana, you know. And I think that's the thing that's pretty crazy with all that. But change, yeah, change. What is it about change that kind of scares people? Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about all day. And for whatever reason, I have those weird conversations within myself, you know, off a simple drive. Those are the type of things I have one-on-one with myself. You know, I talk to myself immensely with topics, freaking problems, past stuff, futures, potential future stuff, you know, current stuff, you know. I lose sleep over a lot of this stuff too because of how many things I'm playing out in my head. Like, oh, what about this? What about that? How can I improve here? What can we do with the podcast to be better? Did I see my family enough? Have I called my mom? Am I being a good dad? You know, am I handling everything to the best of my abilities? Just stuff like that, you know. And I get it. That's a lot of people probably think like that. But for whatever reason, like I said, that word came to mind and it's changed. But hopefully some people can relate to a lot of stuff. And it's crazy too. It's crazy that, like I said, this is that the day or the week, like I said, second week in November, that it's the rain, going back to the weather thing. And I think it is that. I really do believe the weather does affect and alter people's moods and their outcomes for a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? And maybe, like I said, maybe that's why I'm thinking like that. Maybe it's just because of weather, you know. But also, I do enjoy this weather. So what does this say about me? I don't know. Oops. No, I really do enjoy the rain. Also, we're in California, bro. Like they need the rain. Well, we need the rain. You see, we keep seeing the signs about like severe drought, and I feel like that happens every single year. You see the signs on the freeway that says severe drought, conserve water. Severe drought, and it's pretty crazy to think or see it, especially when you could physically see it. For example, if you ever, speaking about Santanella, since from earlier, if you ever drive like towards Hollister, coming from Sacramento, right? Or San Juan Bautista area, Hollister, there's a reservoir, San Luis or San something reservoir. If for those of you that made that drive plenty of times, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's like a body of water or a river that goes there. And I remember back in the day being like in high school. I remember my sister, again, the one that lives in Los Baños, she had been living there. And I remember we used to go visit with my grandparents. We used to go visit her, and I remember always to the right looking and seeing the reservoir and the water and seeing where it was at. And it was always high. You know what I'm saying? You could see the water from a distance. You know what I mean? And then I remember thinking like, man, I want to fucking jump in that water because it looked so good. It was like, especially when it was hot as shit in the summertime, but the water was like to a certain level. You know what I mean? So when you hear about, conserving water, or when you hear about, what do they call it? Global warming and stuff like that, whether you choose to believe it or not. One thing that I do know for a fact is that was it's been like 10 years removed since high school, which is crazy to think, but 10 years removed from high school. Now when I make that drive now to go back home and everything, freaking, literally not even kidding and not even over exaggerating, that water is like depleted all the way down to like layers and layers and layers to like the bottom, and that's just within 10 years, dog. That shit's fucking yeesh. I talked about it before too. I don't know if you guys ever have been up to date with a lot of shit, but Mount Shasta, that shit was like, I remember making that drive to Oregon and Washington with my grandpa and seeing that shit, like hella snow on it, just water coming from it. And they say that the American River that passes through Sac gets the water from Mount Shasta. That's what they said. That's what I read. I'm not saying it's true, right? I'm just telling you what I read. But I also saw one thing just recently, and it showed like a picture, like a 10-year photo, and it showed where it was like just lit, bro, fucking hella snow, water, as opposed to where it is now, and it's just dry. It just looks like a mountain, or a volcano. It's just fucking dry, which is, like I said, pretty sad and crazy to think about too at the same time. Because like, it gets you thinking like, where is this going to be at in another 10 years? So where is that water at that reservoir going to be at in another 10 years? Shit, where are we going to be at in the next 10 years? You know what I'm saying? It's those type of things that get me like, what the fuck? Am I losing sleep over that? I wouldn't say losing sleep, but I've definitely caught myself daydreaming or day thinking about that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I've definitely, YouTubed a few things, but yeah, I don't know how I got caught into that. Just the water, the rain. Conserve the water, people. You know what sucks too? Actually, thinking about the water stuff, where I used to live it's still a Sac County, which is weird, but in a different zip code, still South Sacramento County, but a different zip code. There was a flat rate for water that you used to pay. It was like $125 flat rate for your water bill, right? And it was whether you spent 1 gallon or 75 gallons, it was still just $175 flat rate. So it was just kind of like, man, you mean to tell me we're in a drought, but I can leave this shit running for 7 days straight and only pay 125, as opposed to now, like being a homeowner, now you're really paying per gallon, so however much you use for the water, you're going to pay, and it's only like a few number of zip codes away, still within the same county, which is crazy. Okay. Which is crazy. Lastly, yo, the 1 year anniversary of the podcast is coming up, and I put a thing. This was pretty sad. I felt like, okay, no one's really rocking with it, or is as excited as I am. I made this little video, and I was just saying like, hey, like the 1 year is coming up, and man, shoot me some recommendations, like give me some help Let me know like what you think we should do, or what y'all think we should do, or what event should we do, another activity? Should we fucking make it an extravaganza? Should we fucking pop bottles? I was just looking for some type of feedback, you know. And I'd say sadly, I only got like 2 responses, which hurt a bit. That one did hurt because I was like thinking like people were gonna at least, even if you would say some shit like, yo, you should fucking come in riding elephants and fucking go off and shoot a fucking Uzi in the air like da 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 da. You know, I at least would have been like caught a laugh out of it and been like, yeah, dude, that'd be cool as shit. But I barely got any fucking responses, and I was just like, well, that didn't help, you know. So now I got to revert back to myself and think of some ways what I can do and be creative in a type of way to think of something, you know. So I'm sure we'll come up with something, but I was really hoping to get more input from everybody, and that didn't happen. So that fucking sucked. So would have let down on that part. But I'm still plotting, man. I'm still plotting. I don't know exactly what to do yet, but I do want to make it, you know, something different from the rest, or something that makes it stand out. So be on the lookout for that one. But yeah, man. Hope everybody is good. And you know, as always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for checking out this every single week. You know, nothing is promised. Nothing is for certain. You know, and a lot of this stuff is predicated on the attention, feedback, and responses, or downloads and views and likes and all that shit. You know, so the success of it, you know, we'll see. We'll see with a lot of stuff. You know, who knows what? And like I said, change is like one of the biggest keywords this week. So I don't know if that's the universe trying to say something, or if there's, you know, what do they say for astronomy? A lot of the girls, astronomy. Did I say that right? Astronaut, I don't fucking know, but when they say there's a certain level of mercury in the moon, or I like to fuck with them and say, you know, there's too much Gatorade in the moon this week, when I know they mean retrograde, some shit like that. But yeah, we'll see with a lot of stuff. But thank you for tuning in. Y'all stay safe. Peace.